Haeun Park stared at the computer screen, her fingers trembling slightly as she scrolled through the mountain of student loan documents. The bright fluorescent lights of her small apartment seemed to mock her financial disaster. Horizon Advanced Technologies College had promised her the world, a cutting-edge technological education that would launch her career into the stratosphere. Instead, she was left with $50,000 in debt and nothing to show for it. The college brochure had been perfect. Glossy images of state-of-the-art laboratories, smiling students working on advanced technology, and promises of guaranteed internships with top tech companies. Haeun remembered how her parents had been so proud when she was accepted. They had scraped together every bit of savings they could, believing this was her ticket to a better future. But now, reality crashed down like a merciless wave. The college's credentials were fake. The laboratories she had toured were nothing more than elaborate movie sets. The professors, most weren't even real educators. Each document she uncovered revealed another layer of deception. She remembered her first day at Horizon. The campus looked impressive, sleek glass buildings, modern architecture that seemed to whisper of innovation and opportunity. The orientation speech had been filled with grand promises about technological breakthroughs and global connections. Haeun had been so excited, so hopeful. Now, sitting in her small apartment with its peeling wallpaper and second-hand furniture, she felt nothing but anger. Her dreams of becoming a technological innovator had been stolen. Her savings and her parents' sacrifices were gone. Something caught her eye. A strange digital watermark on one of the college documents seemed slightly off. Most people would have ignored it, but Haeun had always been observant. She had a knack for spotting patterns, a skill that had made her excel in her computer science classes before everything fell apart. With careful precision, she began to examine the watermark. It wasn't just a simple design. There were intricate patterns, almost like a complex encryption code hidden in plain sight. Her fingers started typing, running the image through different decryption algorithms. Hours passed. The apartment grew dark, with only the glow of her computer screen illuminating her determined face. She didn't notice the time passing, didn't stop for food or water. Something was happening, something bigger than a simple college scam. By midnight, she had uncovered something extraordinary. The college's documents weren't just fraudulent. They were part of something much larger. Hidden beneath layers of digital camouflage was evidence suggesting the institution wasn't just a money-making scheme. It was something else entirely. Haeun's heart raced. She had always been curious, always wanted to understand the mysteries behind complex systems. This was more than just a personal investigation now. This was becoming a mission. Her phone buzzed. A message from her best friend, Yume. "You've been working too hard. Take a break." But Haeun couldn't stop. The more she discovered, the more questions emerged. Why would someone create such an elaborate fake college? What was the real purpose behind these meticulously crafted documents? She screenshot key pieces of evidence, creating a digital trail that would be impossible to erase. Something told her this was just the beginning of a much larger story. Outside her window, the city moved, unaware that in this small apartment, a young woman was about to unravel a conspiracy that would change everything. Haeun Park might have lost her college dreams, but she was about to gain something far more significant: the truth. Her fingers continued to move across the keyboard, each click bringing her closer to an explanation that would challenge everything she thought she knew about education, technology, and the world around her. Little did Haeun know, her investigation was being watched, not just by earthly eyes, but by something far more complex and alien than she could possibly imagine. The first part of her journey was just beginning. The digital landscape sprawled before Haeun like an intricate maze of coded secrets. Her computer screen flickered with complex algorithms, each line of code revealing another layer of the mysterious college documents. She had barely slept in days, surviving on instant coffee and determination. Joo Kim, her longtime friend and fellow tech enthusiast, arrived unexpectedly. He carried a worn-out external hard drive and a look of nervous excitement. "I think you need to see something," he said, plugging the drive into her computer. The moment the drive connected, strange symbols began dancing across the screen. They weren't computer code or any known programming language. Something about them felt different, almost alive. Hye-yeon recognized patterns that seemed to shift and move, defying traditional digital logic. "These aren't human encryption patterns," Ju-woo whispered. His fingers moved quickly, running multiple decryption tools. Each attempt failed, but the symbols seemed to react, almost as if they were intelligent. Hours passed. The apartment transformed into a makeshift research station. Scattered coffee cups, sticky note maps, and complex diagrams covered every available surface. Hye-yeon's cat watched silently from a nearby chair, occasionally batting at a fallen sticky note. Something unusual happened around 3:17 a.m. As Ju-woo ran another decryption sequence, the symbols suddenly aligned. For a brief moment, a clear message emerged. "Human potential assessment PPRO-TOCOL. Phase 1 complete." Hye-yeon's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just about a fake college anymore. This was something much larger, much more complex. The decrypted fragments suggested an elaborate system designed to track and evaluate human capabilities. Horizon Advanced Technologies wasn't just a scam. It was a sophisticated screening mechanism. But screening for what? And by whom? Ju-woo discovered additional layers. Seemingly random student records contained microscopic variations, genetic markers, behavioral analysis points, cognitive potential ratings. Each student who had attended Horizon was meticulously cataloged, their entire academic and personal history compressed into intricate digital profiles. "They've been watching," Ju-woo muttered, "not just monitoring, but actively selecting." As dawn broke, casting soft light through the apartment windows, they realized the scale of their discovery. This wasn't a local fraud. This was a systematic, incredibly advanced operation targeting specific human individuals. Hye-yeon's own student profile appeared particularly interesting. Her academic records, personal achievements, problem-solving test scores, everything seemed to have been carefully examined. She wasn't just a random victim. She had been deliberately chosen. The external hard drive contained additional encrypted sections. Some files seemed to reference locations that didn't exist on any terrestrial map. Others contained scientific notations so advanced they resembled mathematical poetry more than traditional research. "We can't go public with this," Ju-woo warned. "They'll know we've discovered something." But Hye-yeon was already several steps ahead. She had been creating secure backup copies, distributing fragments of information through encrypted channels. If something happened to her, the truth would still survive. Her cat stretched and walked across the keyboard, accidentally triggering another decryption sequence. For a split second, a three-dimensional holographic projection flickered in the room, a complex geometric design that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. Ju-woo and Hye-yeon exchanged a look. They were no longer just investigating a college scam. They were standing at the edge of a massive, potentially world-changing revelation. Something was watching. Something was waiting. And they had just taken their first step into a much larger mystery. The encrypted revelations were just beginning. The abandoned warehouse buzzed with electronic equipment. Hye-yeon and Ju-woo had transformed the industrial space into a high-tech command center, surrounded by screens, servers, and complex networking gear. Scattered coffee cups and energy drink cans marked their intense work sessions. Sungmin Park arrived first, carrying a massive portable server unit. An engineering graduate with expertise in complex systems, he understood technology in ways most people couldn't. "I've developed something interesting," he said, connecting his equipment to their existing network. The team had grown. What started as a simple investigation into a college scam had become a sophisticated resistance movement. Each member brought unique skills. Yuna's mathematical precision, Dongyun's quantum computing knowledge, and Juwoo's exceptional programming abilities. Their primary goal was simple: understand the alien screening mechanism and expose its true purpose. Every decrypted file revealed more about the complex system designed to evaluate human potential. Sungmin's server began processing massive amounts of data. Strange algorithms started mapping connections between seemingly unrelated student records. The patterns were extraordinary, not random, but meticulously designed with an intelligence that felt almost alien. "Look at this," Sungmin pointed to a screen. Genetic markers, cognitive test results, and personal achievement records were interconnected in a web so complex it resembled living neural networks. Each student who passed through Horizon wasn't just evaluated, they were carefully selected. Haeun discovered something disturbing. Her own profile showed multiple flagged attributes, high problem-solving scores, adaptability ratings, and something marked as Species Potential Index, a classification she couldn't comprehend. The resistance team worked in shifts. While some decoded encrypted files, others developed counter-monitoring technologies. They were building digital shields, creating complex algorithms designed to confuse and misdirect whatever system was watching them. Juwoo developed a breakthrough, a software mechanism that could inject false data into the alien tracking system, creating digital ghosts that would make their real activities invisible. It was technological camouflage at its most advanced level. Outside the warehouse, the city continued its normal rhythm. No one knew that inside this industrial space, a small group of humans was preparing to challenge a system far beyond their initial understanding. Dongyun's quantum computing algorithms started revealing deeper layers. The screening mechanism wasn't just collecting data, it was predicting potential. Somehow, this system could forecast individual human capabilities with terrifying accuracy. "They're not just watching," Dongyun explained, his fingers dancing across multiple keyboards. "They're planning something, selecting specific individuals for something." The team worked with a mix of fear and excitement. Each decrypted fragment brought them closer to understanding the massive operation behind Horizon Advanced Technologies. This was no longer about a college scam. This was about humanity's potential. Yuna discovered something chilling. Certain student profiles were marked with special designations, almost like recruitment tags. Some were labeled primary candidates, while others received secondary classifications. As night fell, the warehouse hummed with technological energy. Servers processed data, screens flickered with complex algorithms, and the resistance team continued their silent war against an unknown enemy. Haeun looked around at her team. They were no longer just victims of a college fraud. They were warriors in a digital battleground, fighting an enemy they barely understood. Something was coming, and they would be ready. The technological resistance had officially begun. The underground communication center hummed with tension. Haeun's team had tracked a series of unusual digital signatures that led them to something far beyond their initial investigation. The walls were covered with complex maps showing interconnected communication networks, each thread representing a potential pathway to their mysterious target. Sungmin discovered a critical weakness in the alien monitoring system. Their tracking mechanisms relied on predictive algorithms that assumed human behavior followed strict patterns. But this team was anything but predictable. They began their strategic confrontation by creating digital ghosts, false identities that would confuse and misdirect the surveillance network. Each team member became multiple personas, flooding the system with contradictory information. Juwoo's programming skills allowed them to inject complex data streams that would make their real movements impossible to track. Yuna's mathematical genius proved crucial. She developed a series of algorithmic disruptions that would create logical paradoxes within the tracking system. It was like introducing a virus that would make the entire network question its own data. The first major breakthrough came unexpectedly. A seemingly random communication channel revealed a massive network of similar institutional frauds across different countries. What they had thought was a localized college scam was actually a global operation. Dong Hyun traced the communication signals. They weren't just coming from one location. They were coming from multiple points simultaneously, some of which didn't exist on any known geographical map. The technology was beyond current human understanding. Their resistance had a simple strategy: overwhelm the system with unpredictability. Where the alien tracking mechanism expected linear human responses, they would provide chaos. Multiple false trails, contradictory information, and completely unexpected behavioral patterns. Hae-Eun realized they were fighting something more than a simple surveillance system. This was an intelligent network designed to study and possibly control human potential. Each of their actions was a small rebellion against a system that sought to categorize and limit human capabilities. The team worked in perfect synchronization. Some men managed the technical infrastructure. Ju-woo handled complex coding. Yuna managed mathematical disruptions, and Dong-Hyun tracked communication patterns. Hae-Eun coordinated their efforts, her natural leadership bringing everything together. They discovered something shocking. The alien system had been collecting data on humans for decades, carefully selecting individuals with specific genetic and cognitive markers. Horizon Advanced Technologies was just one of many front organizations designed to identify and track potential candidates. As they dug deeper, the scope of the operation became terrifyingly clear. This wasn't just about monitoring, it was about preparation. But preparation for what? Their digital assault continued. False communication channels, encrypted messages that led nowhere, complex data trails that twisted and turned. They were creating a fog of technological warfare that would make their true intentions impossible to detect. Some men found a way to inject their own coded messages into the alien network. Short, cryptic communications that would raise more questions than answers. They were turning the surveillance system against itself. The team worked in shifts, rotating responsibilities, never allowing the system to establish a consistent pattern of their behavior. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by pure determination and carefully consumed energy drinks. Outside their hidden communication center, the world continued its normal routine. No one knew that a small group of young professionals was engaged in a silent war against an incomprehensible technological network. As dawn approached, Hae-Eun looked at her team. They were no longer just victims of a college fraud. They had become something more. Defenders of human unpredictability, champions of individual potential. The strategic confrontation was in full motion, and they were just getting started. The alien tracking system would soon learn that humans were far more complex than any algorithm could predict. The final confrontation began with a single line of code. Hae-Eun's fingers moved with surgical precision, her team watching in complete silence. What had started as an investigation into a college scam had transformed into humanity's most critical digital rebellion. Their plan was elegantly simple yet devastatingly complex. They would use the alien network's own communication infrastructure against itself. Years of careful preparation had led to this moment. A coordinated global digital uprising that would expose the entire surveillance system. Ju-woo activated the first wave of digital disruption. Thousands of carefully crafted communication packets began flooding the alien tracking network. Each packet carried fragments of information, some true, some false, all designed to create maximum confusion. Some men's quantum computing algorithms began breaking down the complex encryption layers. What seemed like impenetrable communication channels started to crack, revealing glimpses of a massive, intricate system designed to monitor and control human potential. The alien network responded, but not in ways anyone expected. Instead of shutting down, it began to adapt, trying to understand the unprecedented human resistance. This was precisely what Hae-Eun and her team had planned. Yuna's mathematical models had predicted multiple potential response scenarios. Each potential alien reaction had been carefully mapped and prepared for. The team was playing a complex digital chess game, several moves ahead of their opponent. Dong-Hyun discovered something extraordinary during the confrontation. The alien tracking system wasn't just collecting data, it was actually learning from their resistance. Every attempt to block or confuse the network was teaching it more about human adaptability. Screens across their hidden command center flickered with complex geometric patterns. Communication channels twisted and transformed, creating a visual representation of their digital battle. It looked like a living, breathing technological ecosystem. The global impact began to spread. Other groups who had been silently monitored started receiving encrypted messages. The resistance was no longer just Heiyun's team. It was becoming a worldwide movement of individuals who refused to be categorized or controlled. Government communication networks started picking up strange signals. Fragments of information suggested something massive was happening in the digital realm, but no one could quite understand the full picture. Heiyun's team had become more than just investigators. They were now the front line of a silent war against an incomprehensible technological force that had been studying humanity for decades. The alien network's responses became increasingly erratic. Its carefully constructed algorithms began to break down, unable to process the sheer unpredictability of human resistance. What was meant to be a controlled study was transforming into a complete system breakdown. Some men discovered hidden communication channels that suggested the alien tracking system was actually a preliminary assessment. Assessment for what? The team could only speculate. Potential recruitment, species evaluation, or something far more complex. As hours passed, the digital battlefield expanded. What had started in a small warehouse was now a global phenomenon. Individuals around the world began sharing fragments of information, creating a collective resistance that no single technological system could predict or control. The final breakthrough came unexpectedly. A massive data burst revealed the true scale of the operation. Horizon Advanced Technologies was just one of hundreds of similar institutions worldwide, all designed to quietly monitor and categorize human potential. Ju's final algorithm sent a message through every discovered communication channel. It was simple, direct, and powerful. Humanity is not a system to be controlled. We are unpredictable. We are diverse. We are free. The alien network's response was surprising. Instead of aggression, there was a moment of what could only be described as respect. The resistance had proven something fundamental about human nature, our ability to adapt, to fight, to survive. As dawn broke, Heiyun looked at her team. They had done more than expose a college scam. They had shown that human potential couldn't be measured, controlled, or predicted. The uprising was complete. Humanity had spoken, and the universe was listening.